So this is before, and this is after. Now let's show you how we got there. The first thing we did is we laid out all the parts from our, it's right stuff. It's a 4-wheel disc brakes. We're going to break up the brakes into 2 different videos. Notice Katie getting her Fisher-Price chair. We've had that at the garage for about 20 years, and it is probably the best thing that we've ever bought at a garage sale. We use it all the time. First thing she did was she put on the caliper bracket. There's a left and a right side. It was pretty obvious when we were putting that together. But what was not obvious to us is that there is a left and right side of the backing plate. And so we struggled with this for just a little bit before we realized exactly what was going on. And finally, well, we still haven't realized it, but we are working on it. The great thing about this whole project is it's Katie's Mustang. She's never really gotten this involved into a car project, and she wants to be the one that builds the car. So admittedly, I have never really worked on Mustangs that much, so I don't know much about it. So I'm trying to teach and learn at the same time, and so far so good. I think everything's going good. Alright, so we got the, yeah, I think it's about right now is when we realize that there's a left side and a right side. Sorry I'm blocking the camera, but still getting used to this filming thing. We want to teach everybody that anybody can do these projects. Whether you're an experienced professional or just somebody who likes cars. I didn't realize that we dinked around with this backing plate that long before we realized it's the wrong one. Alright, so now we got the proper backing plate, and everything else is going to go on pretty easy at this point. We're like, oh, look how simple that is. I want to get a hold of right stuff today because it just seems kind of odd that there's no lock washers or any instructions for Loctite or anything like that. I think that that's something we'd want to do. I might just pull the nuts back off the back and put some lock washers on it. The only problem is I have to pull the entire the brake rotor and everything off, which really isn't that big of a deal. It's not like we've been driving it and it's dirty and rusty or anything. So, alright, tightening up the back plate, getting ready to put on the brake rotor. Alright, now it's time for the rotor. Pretty impressed with the quality of this. It's very heavy duty. It came with 2 sets of bearings. One for a larger, one for smaller. These kits if you have a 6-cylinder, you're gonna have to get a different spindle, but luckily our car was originally a V8 car, so the spindles were all exactly what we needed. We got a little bearing packer from O'Reilly's. It worked pretty good. Greased up all the bearings. Since it's an older spindle, it's been beat up a little bit, so I probably should have cleaned the threads, but I didn't. I just went ahead and powered it on there. Thought maybe we got started crooked, so we pulled it off real quick to make sure and wanted to look at the threads. Anyway, sorry I keep getting in the way of the camera. Alright, going back on. And this is when I realized that maybe it just needs a little more power. Got it all on there. Putting it in the cotter pan. Getting everything lined up like you're supposed to do. They recommend torquing it down to 40 pounds and then backing it off and then torquing it back down to 12 and then loosening the nut until you get to where you can stick the cotter pin in. So it's not an exact measurement, so I've always did kind of a rule of thumb. I tighten until it doesn't turn, then back it off until it turns freely, and then line up the cotter pin. Not a whole lot of torque specs in that, but it's always worked for me. Get the cotter pin nice and pretty. And then we'll get the cap put on, and then we'll work on the caliper. Alright, we're having issues getting the cap on, and what I ended up doing is I got a hole saw, and it was kind of worn out, and I was fit the cap perfectly, and I put it on there and tapped it in, and finally got it on. Next we're going to be putting on the caliper. Calipers went on pretty easy once, wasn't an issue getting those on. The line that goes around the top is a little bit hitting the backing plate, so I bent that up a little bit. Shouldn't make any difference. So yeah, Katie got starting the other side. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to end the week's video. The brakes are completed, along with the control arms, new springs, and a new sway bar. And all the steering components are installed. One thing we have to do to finish up is run the brake lines, but I'm going to run new stainless steel brake lines up there first before we hook it all up. And next week we'll be working on the rear brakes, along with possibly starting the wiring. Hope to see you then. Have a good week.